Mark Atwood's name for you, correct me if I'm wrong, is crazy, yeah? We have to be on the cusp of the huge Great Awakening now. I'm feeling in the next 2 weeks, Lucy.
Ladies and gents, good afternoon and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I have somebody that's never been on my channel before, but somebody who has been in my heart since I met him in May in Birmingham, funnily enough, exactly where he is right now. So this is Mike Shinton, and the reason I wanted to bring him on today is not only just to have a good old catch up with him, but also Mike is very aligned with myself around the healing and, you know, moving forwards into a much better place than where we live today. And I think we all need a little bit of that in our lives right now, Mike, don't you?
I certainly do, Lucy, and thanks for that lovely introduction.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
You too. I mean, what an amazing day. We had May the 8th, wasn't it, in Birmingham? It's a day I'll never forget.
Yeah, it was a powerhouse of a day.
It was, and the energy, the vibe was off the scale. I've never quite been at an event quite like it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking, you and I didn't get a chance to like spend much time together. We didn't talk that much because it was so busy and it's so full on. But I sort of connected with your energy immediately.
Likewise, and I'm so very aware that you and I have got such a similar outlook. Like, you know, I know you are very much in the throes of what's going on within the truth side of things, like I used to be, but our vision is very similar for the future. You know, we do want to encourage the healing of everybody, but our passion is very much around the children. And I just think it's beautiful to connect with anybody like that that's got the same mission. And like you say, like we were kept apart because you were speaking in the morning, I was speaking in the afternoon. There was lots of people that wanted to chat to us and converse and all the rest of it. There was lots of other stuff going on, but we were kind of like kept a little bit apart. But it's interesting, Mike, that, you know, when I was leaving at the end of the evening, we were both like, oh my God, we need to speak properly. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that our souls getting reconnected, essentially. So
Reconnected. Absolutely, yes.
Reconnected, you know, we've done this many lifetimes together, as we can all see from the energy that's coming over you in your recording, Mike. There is some beautiful energy coming over you. And of course, you know, we know that we've done this many lifetimes before, but, you know, I haven't really caught up with you too much. I've seen a little bit of what you've been doing and we've chatted a little bit since May, but give me a bit of a roundup, Mike. What have you been doing since May? How's things been for you?
Things have been about. I'm absolutely buzzing right now, Lucy. You know, I think we have to be on the cusp of, you know, the huge Great Awakening now. The pressure is building up on so many fronts, and I've just been keeping tabs on that essentially. Yeah. You know, Monday's going to be a really interesting day.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you. It's really bringing up a lot of stuff for people right now, isn't it? There's a massive part of the population that have got like the patriotism and, you know, they want to be loyal to the Queen, but then there's also the other side of it, which is really like, oh, let's move on from this nonsense now. Like, we've been here for the last few years, it's time to move on. I found it a really, really interesting thing to observe right now. And you know, my stance on it, Mike, and I'd love to hear what your stance is. I'm honouring wherever anybody is at. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a fan of the royal family or any of that, but I'm just honouring where people are at, because this is really, like you say, the throes of the great awakening now. Like, there is no turning back. The spiritual awakening on the planet is in full swing. And there is going to be a massive overturn. There's going to be a massive tidal wave coming in imminently. That's what I keep being told. It's imminent. It's imminent. Now, people are waking up all day, every day, as far as I'm concerned, and in my world. But there is going to be this massive wave. And I can't help but thinking it's going to be in the next weeks rather than the next months.
I'm feeling in the next 2 weeks, Lucy. So we're aligned. I'll tell you what my thoughts have been. I've up until very recently, and I mean the last few days, I've thought that you know, Lizard Lizzie, the Queen, needs to be exposed for what she's done. You know, I've sort of changed. I can see a real benefit in letting her hang on to at least some of her legacy for the real royalists, because I absolutely think we're seeing the dismantling of the monarchy, once and for all. It's all going to come down.
Yes.
So I can sort of see the point of, leaving her with some sort of legacy for the believers to hang on to, but then being able to make the cut-off, if you like, with King Charles III. I mean, what's it all about, eh?
Well, it's what I'm finding really fascinating right now. And I've got to be honest with you, Mike, that's how I feel. Probably about 18 months ago, I had a very, very unpopular opinion, and that was, let's just forget about the past now and let's move forwards. And people were like, no, people need to pay, people need to know the truth. And Mike, like, we've both come from the same world in this sense. Everybody wants to get their self heard. But I stopped with that a long time ago. I just think wherever we've got to with humanity right now, if we can turn a corner and create the world that we need the world to be, then who gives a damn about the past? And absolutely. I know this will ruffle feathers. I know it will ruffle feathers. It always does when I say it, but it's just how I feel. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's just my perspective right now. So it's interesting for you because that's a big shift.
It is. It's been a massive shift for me. But when you rise above all the shit that's going on, and look at what's going to benefit, the majority of people, what's going to be for the greater good, I think that's the perspective that we all need to start coming from.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that, Mike. And welcome to the club, babe. We've moved on from it now. I'm proud. Like I'm feeling really proud of everybody that's starting to recognise that. So we've got the funeral coming on Monday. You said in the next couple of weeks that you feel that there's going to be big shifts. So what else do you feel is going to be taking place over the next couple of weeks, Mike? Because I've got my opinions.
I think the financial crash is inevitable. There's lots of rumours about Jasara being announced and the RV. But I'm not sure that can happen while Biden's still apparently, in office.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things. I mean, Trump arrived in DC. I think it was Sunday night. A few days ago, unannounced. Apparently, he was there to do something about the stock market. But he talked during his last rally. Was it last weekend? That Zuckerberg had been to see him at the White House the previous week. Right. There's been lots of stuff coming out to say that Trump is still president. So
interesting.
I think the fake Biden's days are numbered.
Yeah, see, I don't follow any of that political stuff anymore. I mean, Mahoney tells me stuff from time to time. Obviously, Charlie tells me stuff from time to time. Stuff kind of drip feeds to me, but I kind of don't know any of that. So the fact that Trump was in DC is absolute news to me, babe. So thank you for sharing that. But okay. What I'm feeling at the moment is that this funeral is going to be the starting point of unwinding the old world.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Did you see what's his name? Alex, E.T. Alex, UFO Alex Collier.
No.
Do you know Alex Collier?
I know who he is, yeah, but I've not seen anything.
Okay, well, he dropped a 4-minute video a few days ago, and he was talking about the death of the Queen and the ramifications of it, in terms of it being an end of maritime law worldwide.
Oh, wow.
But he said at the end that was really interesting, and it was the way he said it as well. So I'll try to deliver it the way he said it, yeah? So I'm going into acting mode now, just so
okay.
He said, wouldn't it be interesting if on Monday at the funeral, a bunch of white hat military and white hat MI5 and MI6 turned up with Diana?
Whoa, that could be an interesting one, couldn't
it? Can you imagine?
Oh, I think people would be chomping at the bit for that. Like, fair play to him for saying it. I bet he's got so many hits on that. People would be chomping at the bit to witness that, right?
would be, I mean, that would be game, set and match, game over, because even if they knew it was going to happen, they couldn't do anything about it because the funeral's got to go ahead. The BBC have got to cover it.
Yeah,
It would
wow.
So let's manifest it. Let's make it happen, Lucy.
Yeah, interesting times ahead, right? Such interesting times ahead. So I see, like I say, I see this funeral as being quite, you know, obviously it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the people that are royalists. It's a big deal for the people that are the truth community. It's a big deal for everybody around the world, because this has been so, you know, set in stone for such a long period of time. Now, one of the things that keeps coming up for me, and I don't know, Mike, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I don't research anything. I just let things channel through me. And I got this really clear image and vision when it was announced the Queen had passed, around why she hadn't handed over to Charles, or why she hadn't handed over to William, or whoever else was going to be her successor. And it was really interesting. I was shown this vision, but I couldn't quite make sense of it. And then Mahoney explained to me the fact that to hand over at the moment, it would have actually been illegitimate. It would have been illegal to do so because of the way that the royals had been set up during Elizabeth's reign. So I thought this was absolutely fascinating, because I don't know any of this stuff unless it just channels through me. So from there, what I've been shown is that within the next week, there's going to be a big overhaul. So obviously her body will get laid to rest, you know, respectfully for the people that need it to be respectfully. But then there's going to be a series of events, and I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 events that are going to take place very, very quickly in quick succession. And something big is going to happen between about the 24th and the 26th of September. Now, what's really weird about this, Mike, is that the 24th of September is a day that I'm running something called Soul School. Now, I'm running it down here in Bournemouth, and it's very much getting all the light workers and starseeds together to raise the vibration, because I always knew that when I came back to Bournemouth, I had a job to do, and the job that I had to do was linked to Scotland.
Okay.
Starting to make sense now. Now, the Queen has been taken on part of the route that is the route from Scotland to where I am in the south of England. So it's very, very interesting that I keep being told the 24th. And I'll share something else as well. I actually stopped the event being in person at one point, because I was like, no, we're going to be locked down. We're going to be locked down. There's going to be something going on the 24th. We can't do it. And then a few weeks ago, literally out of nowhere, I went, no, let's do it. Let's do it in person. Like, let's get people together. And my team were like, for fuck's sake, Lucy, you know, you're such a last minute, you know. And I was like, no, I've gone from this is going to get blocked to it's now going to be able to take place. So I think all the way along, my soul was saying to me, the 24th is going to be a big day. We might not see it on the 24th, but there's going to be something around that date that really, really makes things shift for us.
Let me tell you something that you may not know about. Yeah.
Go on, please do. I love it.
There was a German guy stood up. I don't know his name. I don't know his, his position, but he stood up in the German Parliament back in February. Have you seen this?
No.
And he said the 24th of September is one of those days where we'll all remember where we were.
Oh, that's weird. That's giving me goosebumps all over.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was in February.
There's so much talk about the 24th of September at the moment. So good choice of date, Lucy. Good choice of date, methinks.
Interesting. And the whole event is about bringing the soul back online to remember. It's the path of remembrance to heart-driven creation. That's what the whole event is about. So it's
fantastic.
Almost like my little soul knows exactly what she's doing. It's just, you know, the human has a little bit of a time lapse.
And I mean, all our souls know what they're doing. It's just that most of us don't know how to listen to them.
No. And also, Mike, our human gets in the way, doesn't it? I think it's really, really pertinent to say that. Our human goes, no, why on earth would we possibly do that? No, why on earth would we possibly listen to that? Rather than actually dropping into and allowing our intuition and allowing the feeling that we need to be able to guide us home to actually do that. Oh, Mike, so we've got a big week coming up then, haven't we?
I've got a question to ask you, Lucy.
Please do.
Mark Atwood's name for you, correct me if I'm wrong, is Crazy, yeah?
That's one of them, Mike. One of them. Yes, that's correct.
I think we need more crazy people in the world. I think we're all crazy at heart, but we need to be able to express it. The question is, when did you first realise that you were crazy?
Okay, it's a really good question, Mike. A really good question. So I feel I knew as a child. I knew as a child that I had very, very special gifts. Then at about 10, I switched it off. And then I turned into a crazy party animal, no surprise, because I had to continue the crazy, but just in a different way. And then it was when I was 35 years of age, in 2014, that I started really getting back connected to my gifts. And that's when I went super crazy. Mark Atwood kind of crazy, Bless him. Just on that note, I've literally just posted today that I am going over to Mark Atwood's retreat in Morocco. I'm one of his speakers over there because he loves my crazy.
I've been looking at that retreat earlier on. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be very special. And what's very interesting is that Mark's become a very good friend of mine. What I didn't realize until earlier this year was that Mark and I knew each other from way back when, and I just didn't remember. So he thought I remembered him.
This lifetime.
Yeah, this lifetime. I mean, we've known each other every lifetime, many, many, many lifetimes. We've done this together a lot of times, but this lifetime, him and I, we actually physically connected back in about 2013, 2016, somewhere between that period of time. So it's fascinating. He remembers me, standing up and speaking. I don't remember him. I remember the event where I met him, and I remember certain things, but I don't specifically remember him, which is really fascinating. But he remembers me. So he reminded me of that earlier this year, 2022. And of course, boom, we're just back where we used to be, like doing this whole soul thing together. And he's like a soul brother of mine. He'll call me and ask my opinion on certain things. He'll call me and be like, what running order do we need this event in, And we work so well together. I absolutely love that man. Absolutely love him. He's crazy. He's batshit crazy. But, he seems to think I'm the crazy one, Mike.
Pot and kettle, Lucy, pot and kettle.
I know.
Yeah, he treated me to lunch 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had hours together.
Oh, that's so nice, Mike. Honestly, it's so nice. I love how we're all coming back together. I love it. And we are literal lights on the grid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
We have to show people the way forward, without a doubt. That's I spent before this COVID nonsense. I spent a few years in the doldrums. Not really. I'd lost touch with my purpose. I'd lost touch with myself. I was in a really bad place.
Oh,
but I found myself again. Wow. I mean, I've had an amazing journey this last 2.5 years, and I've never felt so much on purpose. And I know exactly why I came here now. Yeah. And the other thing is, looking back on my life, everything makes sense.
Exactly. And this is the thing that most people miss the memo on, right, Mike? Because they go, oh, poor me, but that hurt, or this did that, and I felt lack and I felt loss, when actually you're being toughened up, you're being made resilient, you're being made to communicate, you're being understood at a level that you would never know. And actually it's such a beautiful gift.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I have grown so much in the past 2.5 years. I'm a much different person now than I was back then. And I've never felt so much in my power, both from a spiritual power, but also, a realization of the power that we've all got, even in 3D. They work for us, we don't work for them.
Absolutely. And the way that I like to speak about it at the moment is we're actually straddling both worlds. So we need to know our power in both so that we can utilize it and we can inspire and help people. I think it's really beautiful to hear you say that, Mike. And I'm really pleased for you that you've been able to come from quite a low spot in your life and really rise up and shine. I think that's going to inspire a lot of people that will be listening to this today, because maybe they are in those dark spots right now. They haven't quite come through the woods yet.
Yeah, I've been in many dark places in my life, but they're the times that I've learned the most about myself and life. You know, everything's a gift, Lucy. Everything's a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so beautiful to hear a man say that. You know, like us girls tend to be like, oh, but it's beautiful, and it's, you know, but to hear a man actually say, no, this is a gift. Those treacherous moments were a gift, and you know, now I can help other people because of those treacherous moments. Like that's really truly inspiring.
Because that's what we're all here for at the end of the day, isn't it? We're all here to support and help each other.
Yeah, we're here to evolve, Mike.
Yeah.
We're here to evolve. And, you know, I'd love to hear more about, you know, your future path. I know that you've got a group that are helping you with like the healing side of things like that. I'd love to hear more about that, Mike.
Well, actually, it's more of a group that grew out of Charlie's gig in May. I've had this vision for a humanitarian project for 18 months now. And my vision is to start a children's foundation, initially, you know, locally, then nationally, but then globally. You know, I've got big dreams for it.
Good for you.
The vision is to transform children without parents, you know, in foundation, with an awareness of who they really are and a knowledge of who they really are. You know, the innate divinity within us, and you know, taught the things, and you know, everything's going to be done from a child's perspective and from a perspective of love.
Yeah, I love that. And this resonates with me so much, Mike, because one of my passion projects, which will be turned into a humanitarian project, is something that I call Little Beams. And little beams is literally the little beams of light that come through in our crystal children. They're the children that are growing on the earth right now. And maybe they're lost, maybe they're broken, like whatever is gone on with them, whether they've been trafficked or abused or anything like that. It's about shining the light to the little beams to be able
love that. I love that name.
My little sisters named it, Mike. So I've got two little half sisters, and since the day that I met them, I've always called them the little beans. So BEANS, like beans, because they were tiny. You know, they were little, so they were little beans to me. And I said to them, I was talking to them about it one day, and they were like, "Oh, that's so lovely. How about we call it the Little Beams?" And I was like, "Okay, that's the name. That's the name." You know, because if it resonates with, I think they were about 7 at the time, something like that. So if it resonates with a 7-year-old, like it's going to resonate with the adults that have got the 7-year-olds and stuff. So we're very aligned from this, Mike. So what's happening? I know there's a group, because it made me laugh that all of the women wanted Mahoney in there or something like that. It made me giggle a lot.
Yeah, you could feel the drool, Lucy. You could.
His ego loved it.
But no, they're amazing. So, talking about my vision during Charlie's gig, you know, and I had 15 people come up to me and said they wanted to be part of it. So I put together a WhatsApp group, and I'll tell you what, they're just amazing. They're just absolutely amazing. They don't need me. They could do this project on their own. They don't need me.
But you're the conduit that brought them together, Mike, and that's a very important role. We're making quite little of that role at the moment, but you know, people like Charlie, people like myself, people like you, people like David, Mark, you know, all of those people. Our role right now is we are that conduit to welcome people to come to us, and then we kind of connect people and put people in. It doesn't mean that we're not doing the work as well, because I know that we all are, but that's our job right now. You know, I know at the moment I've got 100 and something people coming to Soul School next weekend, and I know all of those people are going to go off and do magical, mystical things together, because that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. We're not doing it because, like, I'm not doing it because of profit. I'm not doing it because of anything. I'm doing it to bring and unite a force together within the UK that we need right now.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
You know, it's time for this, Mike, isn't it? It's time.
Every cell of my body is telling me that it's time, Lucy. Every cell of my body, and bring it on. Can't wait to go.
Yeah, for sure. What's really funny is I tap into the quantum realm a lot with the work that I do with people, and you know, I've got all sorts of different weird and wonderful guides and spiritual connections and people that speak to me, and they've been saying to me for about a month now, and my human's getting a little bit frustrated with it, because they keep saying to me, it's imminent, it's imminent, it's imminent, and I'm like, what's imminent out there? Because out there, imminent is like a second, but down here it takes 5 years. So like, talk to me in human years, don't talk to me in your years, you know. But I do feel, and I've been saying this since the beginning of last year, so the beginning of 2021, I've always thought that this September to December is where it's all going to kick off. Now, the fact that the Queen has gone, that's a big marker. So we've got the funeral, I was going to say the wedding then, but the funeral to take place. Then I believe there's going to be some nonsense around the coronation and that kind of stuff, just to bring a little bit more to the surface to help people kind of get what's been going on. And I really feel by the end of this year, we are going to have a massive bomb dropped in our lives.
I'm thinking before the end of October. And I'll tell you a couple of other things that well, one thing that you probably don't know about the funeral, but there are apparently 500 foreign dignitaries and world leaders coming, yeah? But they've all been told that they have to arrive on commercial airlines. They can't use their private jets. And when they get here, they're not going to have the use of cars or helicopters. They're going to be bussed around.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
What's all that about then?
That's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been reported all over the place, even on the BBC.
Wow. Do you think that's more for a pat on the back in regard to climate change kind of thing, so that they look as if they're doing the right thing, but in reality they're all probably arriving on their private jets? Or do you actually believe it?
I don't know. I'm sort of believing it, because also, you know Scott McKay?
Yes.
Patriots Free. Yeah. What do you think of him? What are your thoughts on Scott?
Hey, Scott's okay. He's quite outspoken.
Yeah. I love his style. I love his passion, and I trust him. Yeah. As a truth. And he dropped a post last night from a group I think he calls Overwatch, who he said chose him about 18 months ago to tell to, so he could disseminate it. Yeah, important. So he dropped this post from them last night to say that the judicial arm of the Marines had actioned a roundup and arrest of world leaders and heads of Pharma.
Wow. I hope that's the case, Mike.
I think it's about time, don't you, Lucy?
Yeah, it's you know, aside from all of the world leaders and what they have put their people through in the last 2.5 years, let alone all the years before that, because it was obviously before the last 2.5 years. But these pharma businesses, Mike, this for me is, you know, it's cruelty what's been taking place with some people. I heard earlier today, I very rarely listen to the radio in my car. When I get in my car, the radio automatically comes on. It doesn't seem to like the fact that I'm like, yeah, switch off. So, and I got in the car after I'd been Thai boxing earlier today, and it said that one of the people that was looking after the Queen's coffin, like one of the security that was watching, had dropped down and like collapsed. Yeah, and they were, you know, and instantly I went to obviously the vaccination. Whether he was or not, I don't know, but that's instantly where my thought went. And it is time for these pharma businesses to be scrutinized now, you know,
scrutinized and taken down.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you, Mark.
Most of my working life was spent in big pharma. Guess who I worked for latterly?
Oh, it's got to be Moderna or AstraZeneca or one of them, right?
Begins with a P and then an F.
Pfizer.
Okay.
Mike, oh my gosh.
I didn't know any better at the time, Lucy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And no judgment on it, right? You had to be in there. You had to be like, I worked for JP Morgan for 15 years, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, we had to be thrown in there into the lion's den so that we knew.
Yeah, and you know, people ask me, you said to me many times, couldn't you see what was happening? But when you're in the middle of something, and I became a medical rep when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
So I think the youngest ever medical rep, because most people had degrees. I didn't. But when it's what you've grown up with during your working life and it becomes the norm, it's sometimes difficult. You can't see the wood for the trees. But then I suddenly had this light bulb moment in 2005. Not just about Big Pharma, but the whole of the corporate world. That it had to come down. It became clear to me that corporations were more powerful than countries. And from that time, I just thought, this has got to stop. And then I had the thought, the world needs to come together, but from the bottom up, not the top down.
Yeah.
And really know what I meant by that at the time, but I know clearly now, because that's what's happening.
Absolutely. I love that, Mike, because it was 2012 when I got the message that the banks were going to close down. And I was working still in a bank at that point. So I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where am I getting this nonsense from? The banks won't ever close. The banks can't, we're too reliant on the banks. And it was over the next couple of years that I was shown everything that has obviously led us to where we've got to in the last couple of years, which is just absolutely fascinating. So we've been going down this path, and some of us have been waking up, and some of us have been getting the memo, and some of us have been like, that doesn't make any sense to me, for many, many years. It's true though, right? We've been getting the messages for many years, but thankfully some of us have listened to it.
Yeah, and I came into this back in, I think it was February 2020 when it all started blowing up, wasn't it? And I thought I was quite awake, but was I hell? I wasn't. I'd probably got half an eye, half open, but that was it. But I have so much in the last 2.5 years, I can't tell you, and it's been fascinating. I'm learning every day, and the more I learn, the more I realise I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. Isn't it humbling?
Absolutely humbling.
None of us have a bloody clue what we're doing, do we? We're literally winging it.
No, I didn't at the start. I just knew it was BS from day one.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Mike, because I think it started in about 2017, 2018. And the only reason I know these dates, Mahoney always says to me, how the hell do you know these dates? I've literally just finished writing my book up to the end of 2018. So it's very fresh in my head, all the dates and stuff. But 2000
as well.
You are?
No, I said I'm a bit of an anorak with dates.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and also I worked in finance, so numbers to me make sense. Like I can easily pick out numbers and remember numbers, much more so than historic things and stuff like that. I'm kind of like, whatever, I'll just channel it, I'm a bit like that. But yeah, 2017, 2018, I kept getting this vision in my mind because I was meditating a lot then, like I do now. But the planet was in a planet and it was spinning, and every now and again a pause sign, when you use a remote on your DVD or on whatever you're watching, the literal pause sign would come up on it and the world would stop spinning, and I'd be like, well, that's weird, like what are you trying to show me here? And they were prepping me in readiness for what was coming in 2020. But of course I had no idea. I never thought the world would stop. I remember flying back from Dubai in February 2020, and people were talking about maybe having a lockdown and stuff. And I was like, nonsense. They can't do that. I'd just been to Thailand, just been to America, just been to Dubai. I was like, this is absolute nonsense. And then in the March, I was like, oh, shit. This is what I've been shown. But at no point did I ever buy into any of it, Mike, any of it. I was shouted at on Facebook. I was screamed at. I was told I was a lunatic, a conspiracy theorist, you name it. But it's never faltered within me because I guess the resonance just wasn't there with the situation and the fear.
Exactly the same. And I had lots of Facebook friends that were, been really good friends over the years, but from Big Pharma.
I bet you were as popular as I was with JP Morgan.
I was called disgusting, despicable. I was a threat to society, everything. And I quickly lost all my ex-Pharma friends. But like you, I never faltered because I knew, it wasn't something I believed was true. It was something I knew was true.
Yeah. And what's interesting, Mike, I don't know how you feel about this, but for me now, like back at the beginning, I was really passionate about it. people need to wake up, people need to get this is the kind of stuff that's been going on. And my stance has changed somewhat, because now I'm just like, look, whatever you want to believe it, but let's all just get on and let's all just step out of this nonsense that we're in. I don't believe that anybody deserves to live in lack, not anybody.
No, I don't.
I believe everybody should live an abundant lifestyle. So, and I'm sure everybody on the planet would agree with that. So if we even just have that one thing that we all agree in, let's focus on it and bring it in.
Yeah. Focus on stuff that unites us rather than divides us, like we've been, encouraged to do and conditioned to do for so many years.
Well, that's why the funeral is now, right? Because it's the new round of division. It's the people who are pro-royal family against, the people that don't believe in the royal family. So this is the new, butting of heads that's taking place. And then no doubt it will be some other thing that, once that's dealt with, it will be another thing that they throw out to butt heads on. Ukraine was something that people were butting heads on. The vaccination was something that people were butting heads on. And I love the fact that I can actually go back and say that word now. It used to get me banned, but now I can get away with it.
on YouTube, really?
Yeah, wow. It's because I never say it, Mike. I never say it on my channel. Do you get what I mean? I never talk about it anymore, because I'm just, I just talk about the higher consciousness, about manifestation, bringing in, implants into the quantum field so that we can actually live it. It's just for me, life is so much more straightforward living like that.
I absolutely agree. And, it doesn't take many of us focusing our energy to bring about significant change.
Yeah.
As I learned from Greg Braden a number of years ago, we need the square root of 1% of any population to make a change.
Wow. Amazing.
Which, for the whole world, that equates to about 8,000 people.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you've said that, Mike, because I was shown, people often talk about this 144,000 and the 144 and all this stuff. It's bloody nonsense. We don't need that many. And the number that I've always been told is 7,777 people. That's all we need. So the fact that you've said 8,000, I'm like, bloody hell, I'm close enough.
Yeah. I'm an approximate person, Lucy. I'd have made a terrible airline pilot. Closer would have done me.
Give or take, Mike, give or take. That's my philosophy as well, but thankfully we aren't airline pilots, so we don't need to worry about that stuff.
Now that's really interesting. 777, yeah
777, and it's always been the same number that's come through. So there must be some sense in this, Mike. There has to be some sense in it, and the fact that, God, finding people that are truly awake, and I'm not talking awake to the truth, I mean awake to the truth but also very, very conscious, is actually quite challenging, because a lot of people are very opinionated, and that's okay to be opinionated, but to be conscious properly, you need to be able to balance both sides of it and be objective and hear both sides and feel both sides without losing it in one way. From my perspective, that's what it is anyway. And I feel that that's possibly where we're being held back slightly, is because people get the bit between their teeth on something and they run off with it and they make such a big deal about it that other people then make it into a big deal, and of course that builds momentum, and that's how these distractions are taking place.
Yeah, and the other thing, it's all too easy to get in hung up with what things look like, because there's so much more going on behind what we see right now. I believe in what Charlie said, that we've been watching a movie. The longer this has gone on, the more I've come to believe that this war was won before I knew it had started.
Yeah, I agree.
And this last 2.5 years has been wake up time.
Yeah, it's fascinating actually, Mike, because this has come up for me again recently, and I said this back at the beginning. I said that it was going to be like we were going to be put into like a coma for 2 years. And it's really interesting because now, particularly September of this year, I'm like, whoa, yeah, we're back online again. Like we're actually stepping forwards again. But we've had this 2-year window whereby life was paused, but we were still living. But it was just, and now all of a sudden we've picked up from where we should have been 2 years ago.
That's a really good point, and that makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. because we're getting on the front foot now,
Yeah, we
without
are.
any shadow of a doubt.
100%.
Did you hear? And I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't have done. And I don't watch it. I have to say before I say this. Did you hear what happened on Coronation Street last Wednesday?
No, I don't watch anything like that, Mike. You're right to know that I don't.
No, neither do I. But it was apparently it was a red pill episode. Amongst other things, they talked about a cabal owning all the banks and the media.
Oh,
They talked about whether moon landings real or fake.
really?
They talked about the microchip in the jabs. And just to put the icing on the cake, there was a charity football match and Coronation Street star player fell down and died during the match.
Oh, I've got goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
I'm in control.
Wow. That's big.
And I've seen all the clips. I've seen all the clips, and that's absolutely what happened.
Wow. So
Tell me
Mike,
why I'm in control of the media.
yeah, that's really interesting. So, there's going to be people out there that go, oh yeah, they're just taking the mick out the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
But your true feeling is that, like, the white hats, as people call them, are in control of the media, right?
Well, I think so. It's it's dropping seeds for people.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Like, that is absolutely huge to actually say that outwardly. And was there kind of like a Mickey taking with it, or was it just like factual kind of?
I didn't watch the whole episode, so I didn't see the whole context. But from what I saw, no.
Wow. Interesting. So this is good news, right? This is really starting to allow people to see that there has been more, and maybe these shifting perspectives need to take place. And it goes back to what I said just a moment ago. We need to be balanced to be hearing both sides of the argument now, right?
Do yeah.
Very, very
like a friend of mine said, it's soap operas that have put people to sleep. So maybe it's soap operas that are going to wake people up.
Wow. Oh gosh, that is really exciting. Thanks for sharing that, Mike. I hope somebody can send me something that shows it all, because that's really powerful stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll have a look. I've got the link somewhere, but
Thanks,
they're several days back on Telegram, Lucy.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. Someone will look it out and send it to me, Mike, because that's what people do. Thankfully, like, honestly, people send me stuff all the time, and I'm like, nah, because I don't watch anything. I don't watch anything anymore, Mike. I just trust that what I'm channeling is what needs to come out, and I just trust that that's, if they want me to link into something, they'll tell me. And it's just fascinating that they told me, obviously, to speak to you again when I got back, and I was like, okay, cool. So I knew that you would be delivering some of this stuff, so clearly I needed to hear it, but also my followers as well, Mike. So it's fascinating.
I'm so glad you did get told to connect with me, Lucy. I really am.
Yeah, and your
energy is amazing.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
You know that, mate, but it is.
I'm so grateful. People tell it to me all the time, Mike, but I don't remember it, and I don't get it, if that makes sense, because I'm just me. You know what it's like. You're you. You don't know how you impact other people until people tell you.
That's all of us ever need to be, is ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if we're ourselves, some people are like us, some people won't, but we'll like us. We'll like us, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. The only thing that matters is that we love ourselves, and that we remain in our authentic truth, whatever that looks like. Doesn't mean we all have to agree. It just means whatever your truth is, stand in it, uprise in it, love it, and then go forth with it, And sometimes we have to put our hands up and go, okay, I was wrong. And that's okay.
That's called humility. And humility is one of the biggest strengths.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Mike, I love speaking to you.
Likewise, Lucy, likewise.
I really do. We need to do more of these. I'd really like to invite you onto my Conscious Conversations one week. I do on a Monday evening at 7 p.m. UK time. I do like a private Zoom call with a group of people, and I think they'd love you.
Well, thank you. I'd love to. Absolutely.
We'll get a date in the diary, Mike, and I'll get you on there, because I just think they would love you. You're like, I'm a bit funny. I kind of like, I meet people, I get to know them a little bit, and then all of a sudden I get shown like what they're supposed to be doing here on the planet. And I keep being shown this vision of you, and I'm like, yeah. Like, and it's almost like a wizard. Like you're coming in as a bit of a wizard energy. So that's really cool with what you're creating.
So I need to grow my hair a bit then, yeah?
You don't have to do anything, Mike. You're perfect the way that you are. I just see the magic that you're going to be able to create from your hands. Like it's that side of things. I just love it. I'm so excited for what you're doing. And please do let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. I know thousands of my followers will want to help you. That group of 15 won't be 15 for long if my lot get their hands on it, let me tell you.
Well, you know, we're going worldwide with this because it's let me tell you what inspired me.
Please.
I got my love of kids from my mother, yeah, who she loved kids, and kids love, and I shouldn't call them kids, children. She loved children, and children loved her. And I grew up with, you know, loads of children, you know, within 1 or 2 or 3 years of me.
Yeah. Oh.
And all the loads of children are Irish because it was like everybody's on. So I'm going to call my children.
Oh. Can you just say that bit again, Mike? Because I think your internet cut off then, and I think people will really want to hear it. I don't think it was my end. I think it was your end. Can you just say where you got your love of children from again? Obviously, it's from your mum. You grew up with lots of children, 1 or 2 years older or younger than you.
Yeah.
The bit after that, if you could just say that again.
Can you hear me okay now?
Perfectly, yeah.
Okay. All the local children used to call her Aunt Iris. So I'm going to call my children's foundation the Aunt Iris Children's Foundation in her memory.
Oh, Mike, I love that so much. Oh, she'd be so proud of you.
She is, because we talk all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Honestly, that's just such a beautiful thing to do, you know, to remember, you know, and to inspire based on what inspired you. I think that's just beautiful. And it's go on.
You know, a lot of us say we've had the best mum in the world, but I truly believe I did have the best mum in the world, and I had the privilege of spending her last day with her, and we both knew it was her last day, and it was an emotional roller coaster that was. But I had the chance to tell her if I could have chosen anybody to be my mother, it would have been her.
Oh, Mike, that's so beautiful.
But it was the truth.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, though. That's really, really beautiful. And it's so aligned once again, because my biggest inspiration are my 2 little sisters, and that's what I've named Little Beans after. So it's fascinating that you've gone and named it after your biggest inspiration, which is fascinating. Like my mum is incredible. I'm really lucky as well. I've got the most amazing mum. She doesn't get why I do what I do and all that stuff, but that's her path. But yeah, it's very important to honor these people, you know, even if you haven't had a particularly good mum or loving dad or whatever, honor them, because you chose them to learn the lessons that you needed to learn for this lifetime to get where you needed to be.
Absolutely. I learned that first off from Wayne Dyer.
You know? Okay. Yeah, I know Wayne Dyer, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important that we recognize this, you know. We've been led to believe that, you know, we've got to have perfect everything. I mean, what the heck even is perfect anyway? Like, I'm not perfect. I fuck up all the time, you know, but I do my best to be the best person that I can be. And that's, you know, and our parents didn't know any better. That's the thing, is our parents really didn't know any better. So how could they do any better if they didn't know any better?
Yeah, of course. But we're like you said earlier, we all come down here to learn lessons and grow. Yeah. And we've all got a separate, an individual soul contract, and we've all got our own path and our own journey.
Exactly. And it's all good and well blaming and naming and shaming people, but it's not going to get us anywhere, is it? It's time to stand up.
I've tried that one, doesn't work.
It doesn't. It just makes it a damn sight more painful, Mike, doesn't it? Oh yeah, but no. If you stand up, roll your shoulders back, take a deep breath and be like, right, let's do this. Funnily enough, we get it done, don't we?
We do get it done. And you know, the one thing I learned many years ago was that the happier I get, the better my life gets in every way.
Oh, yeah. It's a real addiction being happy for me.
Yeah,
You know,
me too.
people say to me constantly, but how are you happy all the time? Because I bloody well choose it. I choose to be happy. I wake up some mornings in a mood and I go, hang on a minute, this is not what I've signed up for. I'm going to be happy. And I choose to be happy. It's as simple as that, Mike, isn't it?
It's a daily choice. It's a daily choice, happiness is.
It really is.
And it's so true that the happier we get, the better. I had 4 lessons given to me when my life came crashing down back in 1996.
Yeah.
Those lessons were, and I didn't know where they'd come from at the time, but I know now. Those lessons were gratitude, honesty, humility, and service. And it was sort of the opposite place to where I'd lived my life previously.
Yeah.
The biggest of all those lessons was gratitude. And it was at a time when I'd got less than I'd ever had in my life before. My life really had come crashing down. But I learned to focus on the few things I got left and be truly, truly grateful for them. And it was though somebody flicked a switch in my life and I started to attract people and things that I needed to move on and grow. That's the biggest lesson I've ever got. And that made me happy.
Yeah. And once you've got that memo, you never forget that memo.
No, you don't.
You know, I very similarly, I had that memo in 2013. Everything got stripped from me, my health, you know, the person who was my favorite person on the planet, you know, all these different things. And it was just a case of, right, what can I be thankful for right now? You know, yeah. and then you rebuild off of that. And it's interesting that everybody I've ever spoken to that's gone through an awakening journey has literally been on their knees, raw, bare, you know, not knowing what the heck's going on. And it's in that moment that you get that, I just need to say thank you for this.
Beautiful.
Perfect. And once you get that, I need to say thank you for this, it's almost like somebody picks you up, dusts you off, and helps you move along. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't challenges. I'm sure you've had many challenges since 1996, you know, with your mum and things like that. But we just learn how to deal with them better, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always a right way.
Yeah.
And there's a book that I read around about the same time, 96, 97, that changed my life forever and a day, which you may know because it's quite a popular book called Conversations with God.
Oh, I've read that. It's amazing.
Changed my, it took me so long to read the first time because it challenged every belief and perception I'd ever had, but it made perfect sense.
Yeah. The fact that it had the word God in the title really freaked me the heck out when my girlfriend recommended it to me, and I was like, no freaking way, I'm not doing that. But when I read it, I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, well, it was not a book that I would normally have bought at that time, but something, you know, slapped me around the face and said, you must buy this. And yeah, it changed my life forever.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I've read it so many times since, cover to cover, and I often dip in and out of it even now. And I always tend to get the wisdom that I need, you know, at that time.
Funny that,
wherever,
isn't it?
Yeah. But the first time round, the big message that I got was that there are only 2 basic human emotions, love and fear. And I realised I'd been living far too much of my life from a fear perspective, you know, and I made the gradual shift to live from love. But the other one, and the question that you're recommended to ask in any situation is, what would love do? And that's a great question.
Oh, I love that question. And what's really quite fascinating is over the last few years, and I'd forgotten that was in that book, a number of people message me and they're like, whenever I get stuck, I say, what would Lucy do? Because I always come from love. And I'm like, wow. And you saying that then just like pierced my heart. It made me feel really emotional. That's really beautiful, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, I need to go back and read that book again, don't I? You've given me the sign, Mike. You've given me the sign. Oh my gosh, I have loved speaking to you, Mike. I think we need to get you on again very, very soon. And
you don't have to ask me twice, Lucy. You don't have to ask me twice.
Oh, bless you. Well, we'll get another date in the diary, Mike, and maybe we can allow ourselves to go off a little bit and go a little bit out there with our thoughts and, you know, our perspectives and things like that, and help people.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. This is flown by. This is
I
absolutely.
know, right? It's gone so quickly. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, Mike? And it's the soul family coming back together. You know, it's as simple as that. We're reuniting, we're coming together. And I love the fact, because I've been surrounded by so many women for such a long time. I love the fact now that I've got people like yourself, Mahoney, Mark, Charlie, like as a real beautiful network of really strong, true divine masculine. You know, it's just amazing. I love it. So thank you. I honor your beautiful soul on this journey. I am so grateful to you, and obviously Charlie for bringing us together, because it is Charlie that's connected you and I. So I'm always forever grateful to him.
Oh yeah, I met Charlie right at the start of this, and we've become, you know, best of buddies on the journey.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, ladies and gents, Mike is going to be back with us soon. My conscious conversation community, we will get him in there soon as well. And you can ask him lots of questions because it's never censored. Thank goodness we can go back to open, honest conversations. Mike, thank you so much, my darling. It's so good to see you.
It's been a pleasure and a privilege.
Oh, bless you. It's so kind, so kind. All right, ladies and gents, we'll catch you in the next video. Lots of love.